Welcome back to the show. Yield wars for XRP are going crazy right now. We got so much to tell you about that, ETFs and more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. If you haven't seen the interview I just released with Matt Hogan from Bitwise, oh my goodness, that is a fantastic conversation. Please go watch that. Right now, you can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. It's $3.9 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off 2.2%. Bitcoin 111,500 plus. 4,000 almost on the nose here for Ethereum. That's how much is rolled over in the market. They're off 12.5 on the 7-day. XRP is down number 4 spot at the moment. We're 284. We're off 1.1 on the 24, and we're off 9.3 on the 7-day. So you can see the whole market really rolling over. Bitcoin is well off by 4.7 on the 7-day as well. Look at the range of price here for XRP. This is where the conversation really kind of gets really cool for me. Ranging between 281, 299. I like seeing this range tighten up a little bit. Normally, when there's nothing happening in the market, XRP ranges between a penny and a penny and a half, right? So we see the market tightening right now, and we'll remember that before we get to the end of the video. You'll want it again. Here is iTrustCapital, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just say this. You know, the Fed has cut rates 25 basis points, a quarter point. And then on top of it, if you're not aware, they do have the new PCA account, right? Which is a closed loop system, allows you to take your money in crypto, go into the account, trade all the assets 24/7 that you want. But when you come out as cash and only cash. And this removes the attack vector from being hacked or SIM swapped or something of that nature, because they can't do anything other than send your cash out of the account to your US checking account. Now, with that in mind, because that's really safety right there. I mean, that if you're looking for longevity and safety, you just found it. Now, with the IRA or the PCA, don't sleep on this. Gold is doing its thing right now too, and silver. So you can also buy physical gold and silver inside the IRA or the premium custody account. So just know that there's so many opportunities here for you. I don't think everybody's quite really landed on just exactly what is all here. So make sure you go to itrustcapital.com/XRP Army and get started today. And don't forget, if you haven't done the IRAs, what are you waiting for? Right before the legislation's passed, you could make the biggest financial power move of your life and put your 401k in an IRA and just go crazy with the wins. Not financial advice, but I think we know the legislation's coming. The Genius Act doesn't work without the Clarity Act, so they're going to need both, right? So there it is. Click the link underneath the video and get started today. You're going to love it. 9 major European banks unite to launch a euro-backed stablecoin under MiCAR regulations. The stablecoin will enable fast, low cost, and 24/7 domestic cross-border payments. Remember, there's already 2 euro stablecoins launched on the XRP ledger. So this is getting very good. And listen, this is the rest of the world now acknowledging, oh, the US is here and they're not playing around. So we don't want to get crushed in the new digital on-chain economy and not have the presence needed to compete with the US digital dollar that's about to roll out in mass, right? So there you have that. Now, with that being said, let's listen to the new Coinbase president, Emily, and let's hear what she says. Thanks to Crypto America for this piece.
Market structure is essential. This is what we fought so long and hard.
All right, hold on. Now, I know the volume's jacked. Hold on. Just don't beat me up. I'm trying to get it right. We're still working on my microphone's not here yet, but we'll get it.
Hard for. It's the foundation of everything you just talked about. I do think there's some misconceptions in the world when you have these misleading headlines sometimes where I think people actually think that we don't want any type of regulation. No, in fact, we're asking for regulation. We're asking for uniform rules for consumers and for innovators and for investors. And we want Americans to have a safe on-ramp to digital assets. Momentum, I think, is very real on both sides. I think we have to remember that Clarity passed the House 294 to 134, including 78 Democrats. And the White House absolutely wants this to pass in 2025. So when I think about the stablecoin bill and the market structure bill, I think they're two sides of the same coin. Genius established the rulebook for stablecoins, and then market structure completes the framework for the rest of the ecosystem. So we are very, very, very urgently seeking for this to be passed. We think that we have great bipartisan momentum, and I think it's an incredibly important thing to happen, not only for crypto, but just for financial services and for consumers in the US.
So well said right there. Shout out to Emily, the Coinbase president, new Coinbase president, right? So shout out to her. Absolutely spot on. And what do we see here? U.S. Senate Finance Committee has confirmed October 1st hearing to examine the taxation of crypto assets. And I say, let's go ahead and do zero cap gains for all U.S. domiciled assets. You want to make the United States the crypto leader of the world? Well, there, right there is how you do it. Let's do that. And then everyone on the planet will flood to those protocols because of the zero cap gains issue. And immediately you'll be number one. How about that? Yeah, glad I could help. Yeah. Now let's hear from this clip. This is CoinDesk, and you're going to hear them talking about what's coming here. Take a listen.
We were in Washington last week, myself and a delegation with the Digital Chamber, including Michael Saylor and Tom Lee and lots of people that are really important to the ecosystem. And that thread came up a few times over the course of the day that Bitcoin predates stablecoins, and yet we've got the Genius Act through, and we're still very much in conversation around Clarity and the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of jealousy that stablecoins have kind of leapfrog Bitcoin, and we're still fighting a lot of battles in the Bitcoin world that we've been fighting for years.
I wouldn't say you've been fighting battles for years. That's some drama. Save the drama for your mama. Because the reality is Bitcoin has had a past for more than a decade. They feel slighted because stable coins got passed before a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but they don't want to talk about the fact that they've had more than a decade of a free pass. Yeah, you can't get a Bitcoin maxi to even acknowledge that truth. But when I say this, clarity is coming for all digital assets in 2025, and the true level playing field that every maxi in the world has tried to prevent from happening is just around the corner. Let the digital asset race begin. I choose utility. That's right. And I do hold Bitcoin. I'm not fronting. I hold Bitcoin. SEC approved Hashdex ETF. Listen to this, which includes major altcoins such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, which is not altcoins, but Solana, XRP, and Stellar's XLM. How about that? So I love this. This is only getting bigger, ladies and gentlemen. You're about to see. And we saw an explosion this week in XRP yield opportunities, one of which is Flare Network. Shout out to Hugo Filion. For over a decade, XRP has powered fast, efficient settlement at scale. XRP on Flare extends the strength with composability, opening new growth opportunities. XRP is collateral, liquidity, and yield in DeFi. Now, then there's this. Remember this. This is Axelar and Midas introducing MXRP, the first certificate offering exposure to yield generating XRP strategies, structured to track market neutral XRP strategies deployed across chain, markets, and ecosystems. This is between Axelar and Midas. This is happening. And that's going so well that MXRP had to change the vault capacity from 5 million, I believe it was, to now extended to 10 million. And Flare is noticing massive numbers as well. And then we have a new opportunity, Onyx. Onyx Ledger. XRP yield is now on Onyx Ledger with 10% passive Onyx point allocation and more DeFi opportunities soon. Bridge your Coinbase wrapped XRP from Coinbase to Onyx today. Everyone's doing it. And remember, Uphold is working on bringing a relationship with Flare to their platform. Now, look, I mean, what I'll say is a reminder here, Vet says it very well here. He says, let me be very clear. Any of the yield-bearing tokens, yield offerings, no matter if it's on Flare, EVM sidechain, Midas, Securitize, or whoever comes next for XRP has risks. Every ounce of yield is paid by some amount of risk. And yes, some of the projects will rug and go belly up. And that's where I really align with him and say there's no such thing as a free lunch. Use caution as you move forward into new DeFi opportunities. Always know there will be risks. Anyone suggesting otherwise is not being truthful. Vet's got it spot on here. And listen, I'm excited about these things because it shows maturity in the space. It proves that we've gotten beyond the SEC court case. So now we know that we can start allowing these things to happen and start to find out which ones win, which ones don't, right? That's all a part of the growth and maturation of a space. But we have to remember, and this is not a dig at any one of these companies. I'm proud that they're doing these things, but it doesn't mean that it's everything is everything. You still have to let the market prove out. You still have to see these things turn out over time that they're going to be successful. So just make sure if you're going to engage in these things that you're aware of the risk and you're aware of how much you're putting at risk, right? And never put more at risk than you're willing to lose. That's the point right there. And at the same time, we see record-setting numbers at the CME group. Crypto futures, the Solana and XRP futures, along with ETH options, each reached across $1 billion, with XRP being the fastest ever contract to do so, hitting the mark in just over 3 months. That's what's going on here. So whether it's yield, whether it's futures, and soon to be XRP spot ETFs. Let's get into this article for a hot second. But before we do, let me just play this. The ETF boom is on, ladies and gentlemen. James Seifert.
Like, we're looking at literally over 100 ETFs in the crypto world coming to market in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months.
Wow.
Like hundreds of them. Now, how many of them are going to stick around and be profitable and like people are actually going to be interested in? I said before, I'm very bullish the basket products, whether that's like top 20x Bitcoin or just the Bitwise 10, like, because advisors, that's what they're used to investing in. I'm very bullish on that side of things. But yeah, there's a ton of these products. And even if the generic listing standards isn't ready to go in the next couple of months, you still have due dates coming up in October and November for a whole host of assets, including Litecoin, Solana, XRP. Let me go down the list even. Polkadot, Hedera, Doge. Like, there's a Doge ETF coming in that 40 Act wrapper probably this week. You name it. I mean,
I
there's
would like to say that I'm excited about the Doge ETF, and I'm not as excited as some of the other ones that you just named.
Avalanche, Sui, Cardano.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot coming. Again, I'm not going to like say that these are all going to get like tons of assets. I think anyone thinking that these other altcoin ETFs are going to be as successful as Bitcoin or even as successful as Ethereum, I wouldn't go that far. I think we've seen demand for some other products, specifically for XRP and Sol, that have shown really strong demand from the ETF world and the TradFi world. So I think those could do very well. But I'm, again, most bullish on the basket product.
There you have it. Now let's take a look here. This is some work that, shout out to Zach Rector, he did using Grok on X here. And Grok has projected U.S. spot XRP ETFs could attract between 150 million and 20 billion in its debut phase. Think of that. Now, shout out to Zach Rector for bringing that to the attention and getting this article done here. But and somebody, Z Crypto, picked up this article. But nonetheless, you see the demand could be explosive. We know that Stephen McClurg from Canary Capital said he believes 5 billion will flood into XRP spot ETFs in the first month. JP Morgan says 8 billion. Grok says between 150 million and 20 billion. So I think 5 to 8 billion is a solid number. And listen, what are we really talking about here? We're talking about all this XRP getting locked up, whether it's through futures, XRP spot, or now yield opportunities. I just did a schematic yesterday. We put the numbers together. We could see more than 54% of XRP locked up in a very short period of time, just between what is already accounted for. And if the goal is reached between Axelar, Midas, and Flare, they're going to lock up 10% of XRP in a very short period of time. That would take more than 54% of XRP off the market. And we haven't even talked about the ETF number that we just went over. So, that number could be extremely high, and that could serve as a price floor for the asset. It could absolutely help play into that role, and is designed to, I believe. But don't forget, and don't sleep on this, November 25 is going to be the Big Bang cutover to ISO 20022. And with that, Swift announces they're launching a major new initiative. Listen to this. To transform payments for consumers and small businesses. Working with some of the world's biggest banks, our new scheme will ensure that cross-border retail payments are as fast and predictable as domestic ones. And then you have this here to go further into the article. Shout out to Unknown DLT, give them a follow. In the new article published today by Swift, they mention a new standard for cross-border payments. We all know what this new standard is. It's XRP. The timing is wild. And I say it is pretty wild. And if you think about what we're looking at, the rolling out of yield-bearing products to lock up XRP from retail investors, you think about the ability for XRP futures market growing like a weed. You think about ETFs, spot ETFs coming out for XRP en masse, right? All this grabbing up the asset, taking it off the market at the same time that possibly, because we know that Swift, Citibank, and Ripple are working together and have been, we could see an explosion to lock all this XRP up for all these different product offerings, but then at the same time, the demand to use it for the first time at scale. Let that sink in. A new standard for cross-border retail payments, says Swift, together with a coalition of over 30 early adopter banks. We're developing rules that will set a new standard for consumers, small businesses sending money internationally. Under the scheme, participating institutions will commit to upfront transparency on payments and FX fees, guaranteed full value delivery, end-to-end visibility of transactions, commitment to instant settlement where available. These rules are designed to give retail customers and confidence and peace of mind that they expect when sending money abroad, delivering best-in-class user experience. There you have it right there. Raoul Pal says it's probably Q2. The 4-year cycle is now a 5-year cycle, and it should peak around Q2 of 2026. And we love hearing that. Shout out to Raul. And what do we see here? Everything tightening up. XRP volatility is at record lows. You see when things tighten, we'll look up back here when it tightened. Boom. So we could be about to see another huge breakout for XRP. And Sistine Research showing us the same thing in a different way. Look at all this tightening. Look at all this compression happening, setting up for another big explosion. And what if we get this explosion right here? Boom. That could take us to double digits beyond. And no, Sistine Research, the same one that gave us this chart with all the compression, shows the breakouts, say they believe target for XRP is $33 to $50. But if you pull back and if you're willing to measure as a cup and handle, targets could be as high as $77 to $100. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone. I hope you will join us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about it. We got to go back down to Hump Island. We got that and so much more. Click the link underneath the video and join us inside. All your daily videos with 0 Google ads, ladies and gentlemen, and all the extra content as well, and a great way to support the channel. And we are super grateful for each one of you that do. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in.